Hi, I'm Allie Jackson Jolly. I'm here with Jon-Jorge Aras. He is a legal expert. He is also the founding partner of Aras Law. Jon-Jorge, welcome, and thanks for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me on today. Looking forward to having a conversation with you.
On Monday, former President Trump is expected to stand trial for the so-called hush money case. That's the case in which he's being accused of falsifying business records, in which he paid film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. What should we know about this case?
First, we have the facts, which are fairly well-worn and have been known to the public for a long time. They essentially involve a payment from former President Trump or his organization to Stormy Daniels to essentially not come out and talk about a certain extramarital affair, which former President Trump denies occurred. And the reason that this has been brought up as a charge, as a felony charge, relates to the business records of the Trump organization. The allegations from the district attorney is that former President Trump mischaracterized these payments that were made to Stormy Daniels in order to cover them up, in order to make them unclear, and therefore created these false business records. But that's just one component. Typically, that would be a misdemeanor charge. That wouldn't rise to the level of a felony charge. The added piece that we have here is that District Attorney Alvin Bragg has alleged that this payment was made in furtherance of another crime. And that crime has been less defined. It's not exactly clear what it is, but it looks like it's tied to a violation of either New York state election law or federal election law, in which an individual cannot contribute to a campaign over a certain amount. So it's really two components. We have the falsified part of the business records, that's part one. But part two, and I think the DA's challenge in this case, is to show that that was to conceal another crime or in furtherance of another crime. I think a common phrase that everyone could get their head around is sort of the concept of the cover-up is worse than the crime. And that's really what's at issue in this case.
Okay. And so a few hours ago, former President Trump's legal team filed an emergency request to the appeals court asking them to reconsider if this case is truly going to go forward on Monday. Can you sort of explain what exactly is happening there? And part two, do you think we are actually going to have a case on Monday, or is this going to keep getting kicked down the field a bit?
Absolutely. So former President Trump's strategy in basically every case where he's facing an indictment, and it's a very typical defense strategy, is to deny and delay. You want to push the time for the trial as far as possible because that could be advantageous. You could collect more information, learn more about the case, and be able to present your position more thoroughly when it comes time to actually be in trial. So what happened in this past week is that former President Trump's legal team initially filed to the Court of Appeals asking for an opportunity to stay the case pending Trump's appeal of a gag order, which was put on him by the judge in this matter. That failed. So just as of this morning or earlier today, Trump's legal team has filed yet another appeal saying that a lower court proceeding on whether or not Trump has presidential immunity, a ruling in a lower court case should now be able to be appealed before this case moves forward. So it's another legal theory, but at its core, the idea is to delay the case, to not allow the case to go forward on Monday, where we would enter into jury selection. And then once the jury is impaneled, we would go forward with the trial. Once that starts, it's very difficult to stop that process. So Trump's legal team is giving it another opportunity. And along with this appeal, they are attempting to enforce subpoenas. Former President Trump's legal team is essentially trying to get more information from Stormy Daniels and her communications with former President Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen, related to communications that Ms. Daniels had with Mr. Cohen, because those may be relevant for trial. They may be relevant for a defense. So former President Trump's defense team is trying to use the enforcement of the subpoena as potentially another way to say, we're not in possession of all the information that we need. The trial should be delayed because it will unduly prejudice the defendant in this case, former President Trump. So whether or not the trial is going to go forward, I believe these could be best characterized as long shot attempts. They are long shot attempts to delay the trial, to put the trial in a position where it is not going to occur. But these are emergency applications. So it's really at the buzzer beater. It's a Hail Mary. It's really at the last minute. I would expect that the trial does go forward. There may be some more time given to collect information, but I frankly would be surprised if an appeal at this stage is successful and would stay the trial. If it did, it would stay it for a significantly long time. And by staying it, I mean, it would stop it from occurring. My view of this is it's a low probability. It could happen. I frankly would be surprised, but may get delayed further to collect some documents and to prepare more for the trial. I think that that's possible. Yes.
And so on Monday, should everything go forward, as you mentioned, the next thing that we'll be seeing is a jury selection. Again, former President Trump, if that happens, will be the first U.S. president in history, or former U.S. president in history, to stand a criminal trial. So what should we be looking for in terms of that jury selection? We've never, seen a jury selection in a criminal trial for a former U.S. president. What will that look like? What should we be looking out for?
I believe that President Trump's legal team will challenge the jurors and will create a record to try to demonstrate that former President Trump is unable to get a fair trial in New York. Obviously, there's been excessive press about this issue. There's been excessive press about Michael Cohen and his indictment and him spending time in jail. There's been, I believe, even a Netflix movie or show on Stormy Daniels. She's done interviews based off of this. So there's a huge amount of public information that's been put out there. I imagine what Trump's attorneys are going to do is question the jurors, see if they have any bias, see what they've been exposed to in terms of this information, see what they believe in terms of this information, because it's going to be incumbent on President Trump's legal team to lay the foundation and lay the record that the former president is unable to get a fair trial here. People's minds have been hardened. Their opinions have already been made. They're not able now to form a new, fresh opinion about facts that have really been in the public eye since 2016, 2017. It's been a long time, and these charges have been a long time in coming and talked about often. So I expect that that's what President Trump's legal team will put forward. They will be given a certain amount of strikes, it's called, where they'll be able to strike certain jurors if they believe that they have certain biases and can't stand trial. But I do expect that the judge will try to usher it in a way where there are enough jurors who have not been tainted, who maintain a fair point of view on this case and maintain an open mind. That's really the key, is that they maintain an open mind and have not prejudged the case or the defendant, former President Trump, in any way.
Okay, and so this is your stomping ground. You practice law. You're from this area. What is your instinct? How hard is that going to be to find a jury that is untainted, as you say, or it hasn't been inundated by the New York press on former President Trump and his legal troubles?
it's not easy to navigate, but to the average person, you may be surprised if you're not practicing in court on a daily basis, how many people may not be privy to this information, how many people may not be closely following the news. If you're a person that regularly reads the newspaper or is watching anything on TV, you would find that hard to believe. But there are, in fact, people that may not pay much attention to it, or even if they have, they're put under oath during jury selection, and they will be asked a list of questions ahead of time. And one of those questions may be, can you keep an open mind? Have you made any prejudgments about this case? And they're testifying under oath. So if they sit there and truthfully say, I have not made up my mind about this case, I know very little bit about it. Yes, I understand that President Trump was formerly the president of the United States. I understand that there are charges against him. But other than that, I believe that I personally can have an open mind when it comes to this case, and I will listen to the facts and evidence as they are presented, and I will make a judgment based off of the facts, based off of the law, and I will discharge my duties as a juror. That I expect that will occur. It is an enormous task to go through the individual jurors and really establish that there's no way that Trump can get a fair hearing in this case. And I know that his lawyers have made a lot of part of the legal strategy to essentially try to even move this case, say it should be in federal court, it shouldn't be in state court. There has been a swell of basically strategy to try to push that forward. But here we are facing jury selection. And I think at this stage, it's very difficult to pull off and say, there isn't a single jury pool here in this entire state of New York, county of New York, where there could be an individual that could sit on the jury and have an open mind about this. So it's an uphill battle.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as you said, here we are. Let's see what happens next. We are out of time. Thank you so much for being here with us again and helping us understand the complex goings-on of former President Trump and his legal issues. Thanks so much.
Thank you.